I really think there's like this one key thing, and that one thing is stopping a huge portion of the population from meeting their goals. And that one thing is stopping a huge portion of the population from meeting their goals when it comes to health and fitness and diet, nutrition, and all that. And this one key thing that sums it all up is consistency. It's consistency, because here's the thing. When it comes to the body, when it comes to metabolic processes, okay, so let's really just look at it from two aspects: muscle building and fat burning. So that can go with gaining weight, losing weight, whatever. It takes time. Building muscle takes a substantial amount of time. You're not going to build 10 pounds of muscle in a week. You're not going to lose 10 pounds of fat in a week. This is where consistency starts to come in, and consistency really matters. So when I'm shooting this video right now, it is December. It's getting close to Christmas time. We just had Thanksgiving, and a lot of people in the health and fitness world, a lot of people who aren't so, there's kind of two camps. The people who are super, super serious and the people who are not so serious, both can kind of start stressing out during this time of year. If you're somebody who is a bodybuilder who has to be super lean, or somebody who their performance depends on their weight, whatever, then yes, you might start to stress out during this time. But a lot of people start to stress because, right, during the holidays, there's a lot of holiday parties. There's going to be a lot of opportunity to eat a lot of foods that are out of your typical macronutrient range. They're not your typical quote unquote healthy foods. You're going to be put in scenarios where you might have to eat things and that aren't consistent with your diet and your nutrition goals. So there can start to be some panic there. For people who are super dialed in, let's just say, for example, a bodybuilder or somebody who's got to be really, really lean, they can kind of freak out because they know that like they've got to stay super, super consistent in order to meet them goals. Then also the person who like has not, I really have found through coaching and just being in a gym in general, and just talking to people in life, at work, family, whatever, the people that a lot of times really start to panic are the ones who have not been consistent through the entire year. They haven't been working out consistently. They haven't been dieting consistently. And now they know they're coming into a season where there is some potential to put on those pounds, and it's going to be even harder to potentially lose weight, right? So I find that those people who have not been consistent start to freak out the most. That's where consistency matters. Because if you've been consistent all year, out of 365 days, if you've worked out 320 days, just throwing a random number out there, because that's pretty good consistency, 320 out of 365. If you've dieted well, 330 days out of 365 days, man, you have done really well, right? Now, one day of Thanksgiving and eating bad isn't going to matter. A couple days, 4 or 5 different days in December of eating bad is not going to matter. A few days of travel where you don't get to work out, it's not going to matter. You've laid that foundation of consistency across the entire year. And that's why consistency is so important. And I preach consistency so much because you have to, in the beginning, when you're starting your fitness journey, I think one of the most important things is to establish that level of consistency. Okay? So like in the beginning, you can't take days off. I mean, you can take days off, but like what I mean is you set yourself a goal. I think it's super important to set goals, put them on your bathroom mirror, put them on your desk at work, put them in your car, wherever you're going to see them, set them goals and stick to those goals. And you have to remind yourself of those goals constantly, because going back to the metabolic processes of the body, it takes a long time to burn fat. It takes a long time to gain muscle. I want to stop and just take a little rabbit trail down that road for just a second, okay? When you go on vacation for 1 week and you come back and you're 5 pounds heavier than you were when you left, okay? I'm talking about a 7-day vacation. You take a 7-day vacation or less, you come back and you're 5 to 8 pounds heavier than you were when you left. First of all, you haven't gained much fat, if any fat. Definitely none substantial amount of fat to add weight on the scale. You haven't gained, and on the contrary, if you have been in the gym for 2 weeks, you haven't gained 8 pounds of muscle either. Your body takes a lot longer than that to build muscle. It takes a lot longer than a week to gain fat. You're not going to gain 7 pounds of fat in a week, right? Chances are what happened is you're probably used to not eating a large amount of carbohydrates or a large amount of food, period, and then you went on vacation and you ate a lot of carbohydrates, and now carbohydrates are converted to glycogen. Glycogen is stored in the muscles. Glycogen is stored in the liver. All that water, all that glycogen adds a lot of weight to your body. It can add 5, 10 plus pounds to your body depending on how big you are, how much muscle mass you are. So and then you can have a lot of food in your gut lining your intestines, and a lot of fat and a lot of the food you eat, and all that stuff can get backed up and built up while you're on vacation. And man, you can come back weighing 5, 8 pounds heavier. You haven't gained that fat, so don't freak out. But also you can't lose muscle, that much muscle in a week, right? So if you haven't worked out for a whole week on vacation, not a big deal. You can't lose that much muscle in a week. You can't gain that much muscle in a week. You can't lose that much fat in a week. You can't gain that much fat in a week. I hope you're starting to understand that a lot of people just freak out when they look at the micro. When they look at the short term, they freak out. They freak out like, today I ate bad, or today I did this, or this, oh no, I gained this much weight from vacation. And then they tend to rebound and they try to overcompensate, and then they go on this crash diet for a month, and then they end up cheating, or they crash diet for a whole week and then they cheat every weekend. I see that where people eat clean all week and suffer and just eat hardly nothing all week, and then on the weekends they blow it out and they eat so much food. And, your body doesn't understand that you dieted for 5 days and now you've blown it out for, and overate for 2 days on the weekend. Like, the body is looking at the big picture, right? Because it takes so long to store fat. It takes long to burn fat. It takes long time to build muscle. It takes a long time to lose muscle. And so for the body, it's what you do in the long term. So if you look at even a 7-day period, and you're supposed to eat, 10,000 calories in that period to lose weight in that 7 days, well, what you do day to day doesn't matter as much as making sure you don't go over that 10,000 calorie goal in the whole week, if that makes sense. And if you stay within that 10,000 calorie goal, as an example, I'm not saying everyone should eat 10,000 calories. That's just an example thrown out there. If you stay within that from week to week to week to week to week to week across a whole year, you're gonna meet those goals. That consistency is what matters. But if you eat good all week and you're on target to meet that 10,000 calorie goal, and then on the weekend you blow it out and now you've ate for the week 11,000 calories, and then next week you do the same thing and hit 11,000, and the next week 10,500, and then the next week you do 9,000, but then the next week after that you do 11,000 again, and then you do 10,500 again, and then the next week you hit 10,000, right? You're not going to hit your goals. You're not going to see that. So the big picture matters, okay? In the course of a year, if you've worked out 5 days a week for the whole entire year, you've worked out 5 days a week, you've took 2 rest days a week, and now Christmas time comes or vacation comes and you take a week off, that's great. You're not going to lose all your gains. You're not going to lose all your muscle. You're not going to gain all your fat within 1 week, right? And so people sometimes just need to chill out a little bit and realize that 1 week or that 1 day isn't going to matter. What matters is the consistency. So if you have been consistent, then you have nothing to worry about. Now, if you have not been consistent and you've been up, down, around, all over the place, now you do have something to worry about because you have not been consistent, and I hope that makes sense. In the course of a year, it's probably actually good if you've been weight training and working out and, stressing your joints, stressing your tendons, stressing your nervous system, trying to build muscle, trying to gain performance in the gym or for a sport or whatever, it's good to take a week off to let your body rest. And really, if you've been consistent for years and years and years, I mean, it can be good to take a month off at a time. Some of the highest level CrossFit Games athletes would benefit a lot, I think, from taking like a whole month off after the CrossFit Games. And I know a lot of athletes are starting to do that now, whereas back in the day, it was like as soon as they got back from the games, they were kicking back up training. When you look at all the other sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, all these sports, they have off seasons. You take those off seasons. You need that to avoid burnout, to let your body de-stress, decompress, get some rest, kind of recoup and get back to a point where you're ready to go and attack that sport. You're hungry to get back after it, you know? Because even if you love a sport, I mean, I was super, super obsessed with CrossFit and got to a point where, you know, I kind of was burnt out. From just pushing all the time. And I was even implementing rest weeks, you know. To me, it's super important to establish that level of consistency in the beginning. If you're a beginner, if you set a goal of I'm going to work out 3 days a week, you work out 3 days a week no matter what. Maybe some days, some weeks you work out more than that because you find the time and you make the time and you work out more than that. But it's important to stick to that 3 days a week. I think in the beginning, even if you have, let's say you've worked out 2 days this week and it's coming down to the wire and it's Sunday and you've only worked out 2 days that week and you know the next week's about to start, get up at 3 a.m. if you have to work out. Work out at 10 p.m. if you have to. I think that's important in the beginning to establish that consistency and that base. You've got to establish that discipline. You've got to establish that consistency. You've got to build those habits. Now, once you've become an advanced lifter, once you've established that level of consistency, now you've got some room to what they call auto-regulate and to like push when you need to, back off when you need to. I mean, the more advanced you get, sleep can be more important than your workout. If I've already worked out 4 days this week, I'm feeling super beat up. Life is very stressful. Work is very stressful. Working long hours, traveling, whatever. Now, it might not be the smartest thing in the world to get up and work out at 3 a.m. It actually, my body might do better burning fat and keeping off the fat by getting that sleep that I need versus stressing my body out, putting my body into a stress state, elevating cortisol levels, all that. And, you know, your body gets stressed out and wants to hold on to fat and all that. So, like, sometimes as you get advanced, it is important to back off. But I think in the beginning, you've got and you've got to establish those habits and that level of consistency. Now, once you've established that consistency, somebody who's an advanced lifter is not, or an advanced lifter, they've got their body composition in check. You know, they're let's say somebody they've been lifting for 8 years. Out of those 8 years, 75% of the year they're eating clean. 80% of the year they're eating the amount of calories to meet their goal, and they're working out 5 days a week, and they've been doing that for 5 years. Like, that person can afford to take a month off. Even if they take a month off of training, they're not going to lose that much gains. They're not going to gain that much fat. They're not going to lose that much. They're not going to lose hardly any muscle at all. They're hardly going to gain any fat at all. They're like, nothing hardly is going to happen except their joints are going to get rested. Their body's going to get rested. They can afford to do that because they've established that level of consistency. But somebody who's worked out for a month doesn't get to take a month off. You know, if you work out for a month, take 2 months off, work out for a month, take 2 months off, you're probably never going to see any gains from it. Same thing if you treat your diet that way. And to me, I find that most people are either yo-yoing, they're yo-yo dieting, they're either crash diet and then binge, crash diet, binge. Same thing with working out. They're either all gung-ho, they're all in, they're posting on Instagram, they're working out all the time, and man, they're like, 3 a.m. workouts. Man, if you ain't doing 3 a.m. workouts, what are you doing? And they're going hard, and you putting everybody else down and working out every day 3 a.m., and then all of a sudden they disappear. They gain a bunch of weight, they get out of shape, and then all of a sudden you'll see them, a few months later, they'll get back on that train and they'll go at it again. I think we would all do better to just establish a level of consistency. And this is something that I have tried to preach to my clients, because life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. Life is going to try. There's going to be things that are going to get in the way of your goals. There's going to be times where you're going to have 3 days in a row of back-to-back meetings and traveling and family things and family issues, and you're not going to get to work out for 3 days. It's just not going to happen, right? Well, if you've been consistent all year, you can take a deep breath and know it's fine. It's not a problem. You can fit the workout in if you want to, if you love to work out, if you want to stay disciplined and work out at 3 a.m., fine. But at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm good. Like, I've been consistent all year. I've been consistent for 5 years. I've been consistent for 15 years. Like, for me, I've worked out for 15 years. And sure, there were times in there where I didn't work out as much. There was a time period where I was maybe working out twice a week, and I was just doing 5x5 on the main lifts, and I was just going through the motions, going through the movements, trying to just maintain a certain baseline level of strength and fitness, and I would do a little bit of cardio, a little jogging, a little bit of sports, or a little bit of activity, play some ultimate frisbee. There was a time where there were times where I wasn't like super working out 6 days a week, and then there was other times where I was working out 6 days a week, some days working out 2 times, 3 times a day, when I was trying to really do the best I could in CrossFit. But the truth is, when I look at a 15-year span, I've been pretty consistent over 15 years. So I was somebody that weighed about 150 pounds when I started working out. Now, and I was about the same body composition I am now. Now I'm 195 pounds. So I've gained 40 to 50 pounds of probably what I hope to be a majority muscle over that time. I've established a level of consistency now to where I don't like taking days off. I always take rest days, at least one rest day every 7 days. But I'm talking about like taking extra days off. I don't like taking extra days off from the gym, but I can, and I can afford to. People see me eating bad foods and they're like, man, you eat bad foods? I'm like, well, yeah. I don't mind eating bad foods when I've know that the majority of the time I eat consistently. Like, I've met my goal. Like, I'm at my, now if I decide that I want to really get super lean and get down to 170 pounds and try to get to 10% body fat or 8% body fat or something like that, I'm going to have to dial that consistency in even more, right? But that consistency is key in establishing that consistency for a really long time, because these processes, they just take time. So with that being said, I just wanted to give some encouragement to try to establish that level of consistency, because that life's going to happen. Things are going to try to get in the way. Things, you're going to be traveling for 3 or 4 days and you're not going to be able to eat as clean as you normally do, or eat the meals that you normally do, or meal prep as you normally do. But when you've been consistent for months, that you don't really have to worry about it. You just try to do the best you can and keep going. So just want to encourage you in that. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Thank you so much to everybody that has liked my videos. If you're watching, you're still sitting here watching this. Subscribers, every time I get a view on a video, I'm excited that somebody's watching. I love to teach. I love to learn. I watch tons of YouTube videos, learn a ton from YouTube. And so I just like to share everything that I learned. If you have any comments on consistency, things that have helped you to be consistent, things that have helped you to be disciplined, anything like that, please share in the comments. I love to learn, so maybe I can learn something from you. Or maybe if you have any questions about anything, I would love to take those questions. A lot of times I can take those questions, use that for material in other videos, because chances are if you're asking a question, there's other people that are asking that same question. So thank you so much for watching.